Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of Old Try Hard Gaming with me, Rollcase TV. They say of me, he does the best he can with what he's got, which I admit is not a lot of talent, but it is a whole lot of. I was going to say penultimate. No, that's a whole lot of second from the front race. What is the opposite of penultimate? What is second from the? What is second in Greek, Latin? I don't know. Second from the front. Second race. Premier. Semi-premier. Pen premier. No, it's after premier. Antecedent. I don't know. Anyway, whole lot of second races. And see, I had just run the first race, and I remembered that I wanted the shorts weekend, but now it's in free weekend, so I've got to skip past that and then skip again to short weekend. It does remember the 50% race. Yes, okay. All right. Official practice, qualifying 1, qualifying 2 race. Yes, that's the way I want to start. And during this episode, I will almost certainly not make it through the entire second weekend. Practice 1 is 35 minutes. I don't take that much time. I usually do the first 10 minutes to get in good practice, and then do the last 5 minutes so I can get in a few laps when the track is the fastest. And although the track being the fastest, I don't think has much effect. It's supposed to be the fastest, but I don't know, all that much effect. It doesn't have as much effect as the AI getting better and better and better and better with every lap, just because they're programmed to get better and better with every lap. But in last qualifier, or last week, the last race weekend, in free practice, I was in last place after the first 2 laps, and then I ended up getting into Q1. No, I was in Q1. How did that work? Yeah, it didn't work the way I was thinking. Q1, I was in first place, and then Q2, I was in last place that qualified for Q2. So anyway, go to the track, flying start. And no, I did not turn off the guy's voice, the announcer's voice, which you can. I have his voice down low, but there's currently a bug in the game. I didn't check for updates today, but I always check for updates every couple of days. I do not have auto updates on. I have to check for them, because that can disturb sometimes. But there is currently a bug in the game where the announcer's voice goes away after a while. So, but which is okay. It adds some flavor, and I have the sound down, so the flavor is in the background. You don't, my what I'm saying does dominate over it, but it goes off after a while, unfortunately. And they have, as of the last time I checked, which admittedly wasn't today, it's a couple days ago maybe. The bug is still there. I don't know how often they update this game. I don't know if they're still updating it, or they're already working on 26 and they've ignored it. I don't know. I am obviously not going to finish MotoGP 25 until MotoGP 26 has already come out. I am doing at least 3 seasons, and I don't know how many seasons, how many episode the first season took, I think it was 30 some. I could be wrong. Maybe it was 20 some. I don't know. But no, it's probably 40 some because it takes. There's 22 weeks, right? And I have to take at least 2 episodes per week. Right. If I fall off, I rewind. No other case do I rewind. Yeah. So I don't remember how many episodes were in season 1, but we're on season 2 now. And this is the 3rd episode, so it's season 2 point whatever. I'll do at least 3 seasons, which if it was 40, at least 44, sometimes it's more than that. Or sometimes it'll be less than that, because if I get into the race, if I get into Q2 after official practice, then I'll only have official practice in Q2, and then I'll be ready for the race at the start of the next episode. Same thing if I get into Q1 but don't qualify for Q2. It depends on how many qualifiers you have to do. If I have to do both qualifiers, then it'll definitely be 2 episodes. If I have to do both qualifiers, then if I only have to do 1 qualifier, then I might be able to start the next weekend at the end of 1 weekend, so I can get a little bit more than 1 week in. I don't end the episode automatically once I finish a weekend. If I only have to do 1 qualifier, I may, I'll be able to start it sooner. If I start a weekend with a race, I'm not going to end the episode just after that race is done, because the race only takes like 15 to 20 minutes, so I can move on to the next thing. And if the weekend is one of those, and that's right, there's more weekends than the 22 races, because you also got these other challenge mini bike races. And if you're not familiar with the game, every so often you get these like race-off things. I don't know what they're called. You get together, it's probably supposed to be like a midweek thing. You get together with the guys and gals and race different kinds of bikes. And there's 3 type of bikes you can get. One is a dirt bike, which is just horrible to control. I never choose that. One is a bike where you might get asphalt or you might get dirt, and so I don't pick that either. And then the 3rd type of bike you get is a mini bike, and so you're supposed to have freedom to pick one of the 3, because then you've got one of 3 different people you can influence. So if you want to influence a particular person on a particular team, maybe you want to race with them. But if one of them, if the them is racing anything but a mini bike, I never pick them. I always pick the mini bikes, because those are the only bikes that I care to race besides the moto bikes, the actual moto race bikes. It's supposed to be adding flavor to the game. Yes, I'm putting my head down in shame. I don't use a face cam, so you don't get to see it. I hate face cams. I really, really, really hate face cams. I don't need to see your face. Your face is just in the way of me seeing. You know, I don't, I don't like parasocial relationships. I think parasocial relationships are dangerous. You don't know what it is, look it up. I'm not your Google daddy. I think parasocial relationships are dangerous, and they just become even more promoted with a face cam, which is why people do it, because the content creators love parasocial relationships, because for them it's parasitical relationships. But yeah, I don't like to prey on other people's. I don't like to prey on other people's. I won't say obsession, but imbalanced. I don't like to play in an imbalance. Prey on other people who are in an imbalanced relationship, but don't realize how imbalanced it really is. So I don't use face cam. I don't like face cams. Mainly, I don't like face cams because I'm watching videos with people's face cams, because I don't care to see their face. I find to watch the game. I'll chat with them. If I hear them, I'll chat with them over the game. Maybe they'll reply to me over chat, but I don't need to see their face. It's even worse with racing games, especially auto racing games, where people are using wheels, and they'll have one camera for their face, of course. They'll have a second camera for their hands, so you can see that they're steering. I assume you're steering. They'll have a third camera for their feet so that you can see them braking, and when they're braking. I don't need to see your feet, buddy. Whether you're wearing socks or not, I don't need to see your feet, honest. I'm not into that. And then, maybe they'll have another camera on their brake, so you can see when they're pulling the e-brake. They'll have another camera on the cat. I love cats. If you only had one camera, I'd rather it would be on the cat than on you. So all it does is take more and more room away from the game. Now, people that stream just talking, okay, well, obviously, if you're just talking to the camera and you're not playing a game, then, it makes sense. But anyway, so you will never see my face. I cannot stand race cams, and it's my stream, so I get to dictate how I play. Now, some games are okay. Like, I'll watch chess streamers, and they'll have because the chessboard is square, you can still see the chessboard and all the other stuff you need to see while they're playing, and so if their face is in the corner somewhere, that's okay. But it's, only okay. I still don't really care so much. And if they're professional chess players, like titled players, you get to recognize them. That's not so bad. But video game stuff, I mean, you could say that chess has become a video game too. So, but other video game stuff, yeah, I don't. I can't do it. I can't handle the face cams. It just distracts me. Now, what I do like to see is the chat, which is why I have chat on my screen. It is distracting, but it's more distracting if I can't see the chat and the streamer is responding to the chat and I can't see it. I can't see what they're responding to. So if I ever get to the point where I have enough people chatting that it fills up too much of the screen because they're constantly chatting, then I will take the chat off the screen, or I'll minimize it to the point where it's only like 3 lines of chat content or something. But as it stands now, the chat, I have the chat box up large enough that it won't wrap around until it's gonna fade away before it wraps around. Because I don't get too many chats, and there's a timer on them before they fade away. I keep saying I want to take time off. Part of the time off maybe should be to make the chat box smaller, but I don't know. I can make the chat box as small or as wherever I want it, because it's an overlay on top. The editor is I'm editing on a tablet, though it's in desktop view on a thing, and I have a hard time moving things around. So I'm often, when I'm creating something that's on top, it's the Stream Elements overlay editor. I don't think I've tried to plug a mouse into because I can plug a mouse into the tablet. I don't think I've tried it to plug a mouse into the tablet, which might help, because then it will use the mouse input rather than the finger tap input. But dragging is still the same, I think, whether you're holding the mouse button down or you're dragging your finger. I don't know, maybe not. Okay, am I over 10 minutes? Not really. I'll do one more lap. That was the line, right? Was that the line, or is this the line? Yeah, that was the line. Here's the end of the... Official practice, I only do 15 minutes. It'll end up being over 15 minutes, but you do the first 10 minutes, and I end up at the top, and then by the time I fast forward to the last 5 minutes, I'll be back at the bottom, because the AI gets better and better and better every lap. But then I give myself 5 minutes to do usually a couple laps, and then we'll see how I do on the last couple laps. If I can get back up to a high enough place that I at least get directly into Q2. That's always my goal, to skip Q1, get a body into Q2, but for some reason that often does not happen. But then I'll get into Q2 or Q1 and end up being in the top 4 somehow, even though I finished official practice at the back of the pack. All those guys that beat me from positions 15 on, now suddenly they can't beat me in Q1. I don't understand that. All it does is it makes the weekend longer. I have to go into Q1 and Q2. Otherwise, if I failed in Q1, I would just go right in the race. They'd put me in the last, somewhere in the last in the back slots based on how I finished in Q1. From slots 19 through 26. Q1 is really the second chance qualifier, but it's the first qualifier, so they call it Q1. It's the second chance to qualify for the qualifier. Official practice is your first chance to qualify for the qualifier. And then what they call Q1 is really your second chance to qualify for the official qualifier, which is Q2. And then they have free practice. So what do they call official practice? What do they call practice? They just call it practice. I call it official practice. But it is the chance to qualify for the qualifier. But everyone in the qualifier does go to the race. Because it's only the top 18 people. In fact, the people that don't even qualify for the qualifier go to the race. So it's not really a qualifier. Yes, the naming conventions are all out of whack. Out of whack. If you don't qualify for the official qualifier in most motorsports, you are not allowed in the race. But maybe it's the case here too. It's just that in the video game they let you in anyway. I don't know. Okay, that is past the line. Let's return to the pit. It's under 25 minutes. Take a drink while I'm doing that. Check the chat. Well, first of all, go to the live section, speed it up to 15x. Watch my name fall down in the standings. Scroll back, look for any chat. There's no chat. I'm still in first place. That's unbelievable. No, that can't be true. Come on. If I go to 30x, it lags out. And I can't stop it in time. So I stop at around 5 minutes. Why am I still in first place? Really? Am I going to avoid Q1? Yeah, I'll still be in first place after 5 minutes, and then suddenly I still won't qualify for Q1. My last 5 minutes will be terrible. Oh, wait. I hit the button too soon. I saw the 8, I thought it was a 5. Seven, 5. Close enough. Go to track. It'll be under 5 by the time I get there. It's a flying start. No, it wasn't under 5. Okay. A little over 5 minutes, and I'm still in first place, which is kind of unbelievable to me. I might go right to Q2. Which is, if that's the case, I'll be starting the next episode with the actual. Well, no, this is going to take me. The next episode may start with Q2, and I know I won't get Q1 and Q2. If I qualify for Q2, I would rather qualify for Q2 than not have to go to Q1 and then make it into Q2 and have to do both qualifiers. They really should change. I mean, having official practice is okay, but then Q2 should really be the qualifier, and Q1 should be second chance practice to see if you can get in the official qualifier. And then only the people that make it into the qualifier should be in the race. Or if you don't make the top 18 in the qualifier, you shouldn't qualify for the race. I mean, only 18 people go to the qualifier. So, I mean, it's not a qualifier if... Yeah, anyway. I don't know how it should be worded, but that's how they word it. There's the official practice, which only the top 14 qualify directly into the second qualifier, and then you have a second chance qualifier, which is Q1, and only the top 4 there go into the yeah. I did not fall on purpose, but this is turning into a disaster. I'm gonna obviously have to count on my my best. So what am I doing? I keep doing that. I can't look at I can't look at the colors. I have to look at the mini map, which of course is more distracting. I can't slow down when they tell me to slow down. I have to slow down much sooner on that turn. The color of the racing line. And I need the racing line. There's some games where I don't need the racing line. But most racing games I need the racing line. I know how to, you know, the apex of the turn and stuff like that. Like in rally racing games, I don't need the racing line. In most rally racing games, you don't have it available to you. But I don't know these tracks. On the closed tracks, I don't know the tracks well enough to know what the racing line is. If I played it enough, if I got really into it, I could turn the racing line off if I knew the tracks well enough. But I don't remember things very well as I used to, so. I'm not going to distract myself looking on the right to see if I'm actually beating my former times. So, oops, sorry. You were in my way. I'm glad I didn't, I controlled myself enough that I didn't fall down, but, you know, if I have to run over the guy, I will. You're wearing a helmet, you'll survive. This turn is ridiculous. You're running way back into the green, way back into the green, way back into the green. Okay, now. Slow down here. Maybe a little farther, but still. Way before it turns yellow, you have to slow down. I said maybe this is ridiculous, and that it wasn't that ridiculous. As I started to go back forward, I had to immediately slow down again because I was going too fast. Sorry. Now he was going to try to pay me back. I don't know the same guy. He was going to try to pay me back, but nope. I'm playing in the arcade mode. I can keep my bike upright better than you. Does it tell me what my best lap is in the summary? I don't think it does. No. Didn't slow down well enough. Oh, and I smashed the brake rather than pumping the brake properly. And if I just slam on the brake, I end up pushing. I get panicked and end up pushing the trigger button into, I've got a Elite controller and it's like rubberized and it pushes it into the rubber chamber. Like then it gets stuck in the rubber cover. I mean, not stuck like you can't get it out, but you feel that it's in the, you know, it's obstructed some. Fall off, thank you. Didn't do it on purpose again, but I definitely was, couldn't take that turn. I only rewind if I fall off the bike, because it's too important to not fall off the bike. And because I think these colors are unfair. But if I happen to not fall off the bike, I don't rewind just because, oh, I took a bad turn. Look at that! Skipping right into Q2. Let's get it done. Maybe we'll get a pole position if I'm actually a master of this track, which obviously I'm not because I keep falling off. But I get to rewind it if I fall off, so maybe that does make me a master. Hit the button. I'm pouring soda. Do I get to pre-qualifying too? So it's not pre-qualify. Oh, these are my positions prior to qualifying too. That's why it's pre-qualifying. Well, why do they call it practice then if it's the pre-qualifier? It's the pre-qualifier, the practice is. It's the pre-qualifier, the second chance qualifier, and then the qualifier. But the qualifier isn't a qualifier because everybody gets to be in the race. Well, I am in the official Q2 qualifier, so I will be in the top 14. No, I won't be in the top 14 position, but I'll be in the top 18 positions no matter what, because I got into the top 14, which meant I got seeded into Q2, but there was still a Q1 where 4 more people got in. So. It would be nice to... Apparently, I do have a chance at a pole position if my free practice number 1, or not free practice, my official practice, my pre-qualifier practice. It's the not free practice, it's the paid practice. I don't know. It's not free as in money, it's free as in liberty. So what is it's what is it? It's like free speech, not free beer. Yeah. Free beer, not free speech. You know, for some people that would be a conundrum. Would you rather have free speech or free beer? I don't know. Personally, I think I'd rather have free speech. Though I do drink beer. On occasion. Very rare occasion. I'm lucky I don't have an addictive personality. I don't get addicted to any particular video game. I wouldn't say I was addicted to pool. I really enjoyed it. No addictions to drugs or alcohol or anything. So I'm lucky. No gambling addictions, which can be really bad. Food addictions can be really bad. I was on some medication for a while that gave me horrible sweet tooth cravings, and I gained like 70 pounds on that medication. It was terrible. I started at like 175, 180, something like that. Let's say 180, and I went up to 250. I'm back down to about 175 now. I lost very quickly when I ended the medication. So I've lost another, I lost like those 80 pounds. You know. According to my height, which is 5'10", and BMI, 172 is the top thing listed as normal weight, and then 176 is listed as first column under overweight. So I don't know where the actual border is. It's somewhere between 172 and 176. So I got down below 176, but my frame and stuff, and BMI is, and I'm an American, so we're of course always going to complain about BMI. First of all, it's in commie units, not freedom units, calculation, but I mean, I used to work out a lot too, so, but I was never muscular so much. I was athletic, but not muscular. But that was that was when I was in my 40s. You know, I mentioned as I got older, my eyesight started to go, and I by the time I hit my 50s, you know, I was no longer as active as I once was. I've been at least trying to go for walks lately, although it's getting to the time of year and that's less likely. But I really wanted to walk yesterday, but I decided to take a nap instead. There is snow on the ground. It is snowing some today. I don't know how deep it's going to be. I didn't look at the list. Here it is. As I'm recording this, it's still November 29th, I think. Yeah, but I live in Minnesota, as I'm famous of saying, and you know, our winters last longer than 3 months. They last at least 4 months, and our summers also last at least 4 months. So we only have like 2 months of spring and 2 months of fall. But yes, we do have long summers as well. Halfway, I live in North America, and Minnesota is almost as far from a coast as you can get. You know, big North American continent, almost in the dead center of it. The geometric center of North America, which is actually one state over. But also right through the Twin Cities area is the 45th parallel. So almost exactly, I live almost exactly, in fact, within a short drive, conceivably walking distance of the 45th parallel. Long walk or short drive to 45th parallel. So yes, being on the 45th parallel means you're halfway from the equator to North Pole, which gives you the most, which means if you don't count sea currents, which you don't count because we're in the middle of a freaking large continent, that means we get the most variable weather. So it will, in freedom units, Fahrenheit, it will get up over 100 on occasions in the summertime. And I'm talking high temperatures, and the low temperatures will get below 0 Fahrenheit in the wintertime. So yes, very variable. Our averages are, I think the average is a little bit over 80 in the summertime. Although, like I said, it will get up over 100, and there'll be stretches in the 90s. But our averages for like July is somewhere in the 80s and somewhere in the 20s in the wintertime. So, and that's air temperature, not wind chill or heat index or anything. So yeah, quite the spread. Highest temperatures 100, lowest temperatures 0. Daytime temperature, you know. So at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit spread in temperatures. But we will have stretches where 30 years ago, it was not uncommon to have a nighttime air temperature minus 40. We haven't had those in a long time, but it will be, you know, minus 20 sometimes, nighttime low temperature. Well, yeah, 80 degrees is quite the 80 degrees Fahrenheit is quite the spread as far as climate highs and lows. for the same time of day. Comparing apples to apples, you can't really compare daytime temperatures to nighttime temperatures. Those don't reflect seasonal changes. Which is why I like Fahrenheit as a measurement scale. Everything else, obviously, metric makes sense, but Fahrenheit is a good scale. It's kind of arbitrary that centigrade became a metric scale. I know it's based on a physical quantity, but you know, it's not like we use the Planck scale for everything, which would be the physical quantity for, you know, all the other units. We'd be using Kelvin if it was, you know, if we wanted to use, you know, actual fundamental scientific measurement scales. Water, you know, using the boiling and freezing point of water is pretty arbitrary anyway. And although the Fahrenheit scale is much more arbitrary, because it's based on, you know, one guy's concept of a really coldest winter that he lived through during the time he was measuring it, and his body temperature, which was, he obviously had a fever at the time. Very arbitrarily picked his 0 and his 100. But as it so happens, 50 degrees is a medium temperature for humans to live in, and 100 is a hot temperature, and 0 is a cold temperature. Even though 0 is below freezing, you know, just freezing, merely freezing isn't that cold for a person to live. But, you know, for a person to live in. Anyway, maybe that's just my experience, because in Minnesota, those 50 degrees is an average temperature for the year. If you add it all up, gets to 100, gets to 0. So for the whole year, 50 degrees is a pretty average temperature, or an exact average temperature. I don't know if they always give you monthly averages. They don't give you yearly average daytime temperatures, which would be interesting to see, but of very limited usefulness, because, I mean, who cares? It varies so much. It's almost, you know, you want to see what the spread is more than you want to see what the actual, well, I'm not going to win a pole position, that's for sure. How did I get number 1 in free practice and now 18 in the actual qualifier, which is last place? Well, it is, it's, maybe I'm playing worse, but I don't think so. You saw how badly I was playing in free practice, but it's part of that adaptive AI thing. I am playing with, you can set an AI level from 0 to 100, or from 20 to 100. Why it starts at 20, I don't know. 20 doesn't mean they race at 20% of the speed that they race at 100%. I mean, that's pretty obvious. They race at maybe 80% of the speed as they do at 100%, or, you know, 50 or whatever it is. There are games like Dirt Rally 2 where you can set the difficulty from 0 to 100, so you got 101 different difficulty levels. And it's not like if they race at 0, that means they're racing 0% of their top speed, which would mean that they're standing still. Anyway, but the difficulty levels go from 20 to 100. And it's in this game, it's a good spread, and like TTL Man 2 was ridiculous. The spread was not very long. It went from 30 to 100, and it was impossible to almost the exact same degree, no matter what the difficulty level, as far as the AI. And yet, I decided to use the adaptive AI because it was much easier than for me to race a whole bunch of races and setting my own difficulty level until I could get one that fit, and one that would end up fitting for all the seasons and all the bikes, and as I learned how to play better, etc., etc. Now, oddly enough, they don't stop the qualifier when it goes to 0. If you get past the line, they keep the qualifier going for another lap. Now, and they don't force you to go into the pit on the last lap. So I can go past the racing line again, the finish line again. But I don't know, does this lap count or doesn't it count? It shouldn't count, right? When you hit 0, you should be forced to go back into the pit, and that last lap doesn't count. It's your in lap, and it's not going to count. Anyway, but it'll let you just keep going, finish your lap up after it hits 0. Maybe that's how it is in this league. What do you call it? Tour. On this tour. The MotoGP trademark tour. And yes, the game title does have a trademark in it, and even on my YouTube description I say who owns the trademark. It is not mine. If you look at my About page, I do have a trademark phrase there. That is my own trademark. I don't have reference who owns the trademark, but it is mine. I could mark it as a trademark of Roll Cage TV and then include my hash, whatever it's called, hash in my real name. You can enforce trademarks and registered copyrights and all that stuff for aliases. It's been upheld for aliases if you include in the alias some what the hash is for your actual name, and then you can provide your actual name. You use the common hash algorithm, it matches the hash, you know it's the same person. Anyway, so if you wanna trademark something or copyright, primarily copyright is the issue. You want to copyright something anonymously, you can do it. I have copyrighted things. One of the things I've copyrighted is my game, and I've never have gone through with my plans to maybe doing a YouTube video on some of my games. I've got a card game and a dice game that I've created. Well, coming up on 50 minutes, well, I guess I should hit the buttons here. Although it's going to throw me into the race itself, and I'll have to back out. When it throws you in the race, you don't go back to the pit. You just go right, you just go right to the racing line. So I have to actually start the race and then say, no, exit back to the menu. I think I might have bumped my mic. If I did, I apologize. Yep, I did hear it. Sorry about that. Yeah, continue. But I'll at least be at least I can pull up a menu to say exit to career mode. That is because I'm ending this episode, and by the looks of the my stream marker count and by the looks on the wall, I am finishing up this part of the stream for MotoGP. But if you are watching on Twitch, I'm going to come back and play some SnowRunner for another 3 hours, because that's what I'm doing on most Saturdays now. Most Saturdays now on Twitch are going to be Twitch for 3 hours, and then SnowRunner for 3 hours. And then SnowRunner for 6 hours on Sunday. SnowRunner will be 7 days a week on YouTube. Not every weekend is going to be that way, though. So first weekend of the month is going to be a different game on Saturdays, and no SnowRunner. SnowRunner will just be on Sundays. And the first Saturday of the months of February, May, August, and November, I think I got those right, are my big 12-hour marathon stream. So that week, things are a little bit different. And I hope to have a graphic for that, which I can put up. I'll probably put up on my YouTube post, which shows both my streaming schedule and my YouTube schedule in one nice little graphic. Anyway, I would put it on like a Google Doc, but you know, some people feel uncomfortable loading Google Docs, and I understand why. All right, folks, I'm over 50 minutes. It is time for me to wrap up MotoGP 25 for today's stream. However, I am going to come back and do a dirt rally, or not a dirt rally, a SnowRunner stream. So for those of you on Twitch, stick around. I'll be switching over to SnowRunner. For those of you on YouTube, I hope you have a great afternoon, great evening, great night, great morning, great whenever until I see you again. And wherever you end up going, on the road or in life, be sure to enjoy the drive. All right, Twitch, stand by for SnowRunner. YouTube, for you, I'm out of here. Bye-bye.